Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Valerie Mills. Thanks for logging on to My Fox Hurricane. Tracking Tropical Storm Nadine. Here it is in the Western Caribbean, expected to make landfall along the Yucatan Peninsula later on Saturday. And this is going to be a pretty short-lived system here, barely into that tropical storm threshold. The winds have started to bump up a couple miles per hour here over the last few hours. We went from 40-mile-per-hour winds to 45-mile-per-hour winds as this is moving due west 9 miles per hour. And so we have strong steering flow that is going to be guiding this area right on into parts of Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, going to be seeing the impacts mainly as far as heavy rain over the weekend from this storm. But once it makes landfall, look at how quickly it weakens as it moves over the higher terrain area here of the Yucatan Peninsula and kind of crosses and moves into the Pacific. By Sunday into Monday, we'll pretty much be done talking about this, at least for this area. But look at the rain that's on the way over the next few days. We're talking about the potential for 6 to 8 inches of rain right here in this kind of bright yellow orange color. And so this is going to be bringing the potential for flash flooding, maybe even some mudslides for parts of this area over the weekend. By Monday, though, it kind of crosses off and clears the area. So here's a look at our tropics watch, and you can see how quick moving this is, about 10 miles per hour. And so it'll cross, be in the Pacific by likely late Sunday, if not early Monday morning. And then that continues on that westward track. And so it's the heavy rain that's going to be the biggest impacts there from Tropical Storm Nadine. But then we flip things over where we are tracking a tropical wave, Invest 94L, which is right around the Turks and Caicos, and areas around the Bahamas, Cuba. Going to be keeping a close eye on this area in the next few days for some additional development. The odds now up to 90% chance that this is able to form, as we can very clearly see why this morning. It's in a very favorable setup here where we're starting to really see that distinct rotation. Thunderstorms looking a little bit more organized as it's kind of just to the north of Puerto Rico. But look at what it's going to start to encounter here. We've got some very hostile upper winds, some strong wind shear thanks to a strong cold front that's kind of pushed well out into the Atlantic. And so this strong shear should start to kind of battle this storm as it potentially becomes our next named storm or a tropical depression Saturday or Sunday. That is certainly likely as conditions favorable where it is now. But on top of those hostile winds, it's also going to start to battle some of this drier air. So here's a look at where that kind of area of interest is now. And notice all of this drier air that's going to start to kind of feed in and interact with this area, possibly kind of wraps around on the southern side of that. So those are two things that are going to be working against this Invest wave that we are watching. But what I do want to note is that even though we're talking about the development of the system, it does look like it starts to take that turn to the north due to all of these sharp steering currents that we have in place here across parts of Florida, parts of the southeast as well. So as we look at our model runs for Invest 94L, most of those curve it up to sea. Maybe we're talking about some impacts for Bermuda. Some of these models take it away from Bermuda as well. So that's just something we'll have to watch in the next few days, but it doesn't look like it's going to be bringing any impacts to the continental U.S. It's the islands, parts of the Bahamas, maybe the U.S. Virgin Islands that we'll be watching very closely the next couple of days. But you can see this ensemble model run and how most of them kind of curve this off to the north, some a little bit quicker, some a little bit slower, but that is the highest likelihood of what's going to happen with this in the next couple of days. And while we are still halfway through the month of October, we still have a ways to go for this hurricane season. And typically during October, these are the areas where we have the highest likelihood of hurricanes to develop, these closer to home systems here in parts of the Caribbean and off the East Coast, closer to Bermuda. So these are kind of our hot spots that we'll watch through the rest of October and into November. November 30th is when the end of this hurricane season will be.